I have 3 friends. All 3 of them have stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. That was the great Mel Gibson, director of The Passion of the Christ, and somebody who knows a thing or two about Agenda 2030. Believe me, since his house burned down in those Palisades fires, and he can't get a building permit to rebuild. Anyway, the good news is there are remedies for cancer, and in that clip with Joe Rogan, Mel Gibson recounts his friends having used ivermectin, fenbendazole, chlorine dioxide, methylene blue, and yes, red light therapy. We've got the receipts. Jonathan Otto is here with the receipts that prove red light therapy in clinical testing is helping those with cancer recover. And Jonathan even provides a chlorine dioxide tutorial in this one, and all of the links are below. Friends, thanks so much for being here. Before we start, just a quick word about a valued sponsor. War with Iran and the closure of the Straits of Hormuz isn't going to help. New numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago? How about 5 years ago? How about yesterday? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. Our friends at Noble Gold Investments specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and they'll make it simple. No pressure, just education and experience. Right now, all new qualified accounts will receive a free 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. There are no guarantees in any investment decision, so work with a trusted financial advisor. And then visit noblegoldinvestments.com or sgtreportgold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. The link is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, what you're looking at on my screen is an unbelievable tweet that should never have to be made. It's from Kevin Sorbo. You know him, the Hollywood actor who left Hollywood after realizing how corrupt it was. Well, Kevin Sorbo just tweeted that Canada has criminalized reading the Bible. Yeah, you can't make that up. Quoting scripture now on marriage, sin, or God's design for sexuality can be prosecuted as willful promotion of hatred. This is how the West fails. No doubt about that, Kevin Sorbo. Bill C-9, passed by Canada's lawmakers, now quoting scripture on marriage, sin, or God's design for sexuality can be prosecuted as willful promotion of hatred. Ladies and gentlemen, this indeed is how the West fails. I've got a couple of other news items I want to cover, but I'm going to bring on my guest who can help me digest all of the tyranny and evil. Jonathan Otto, myredlight.com. Jonathan, welcome back. How are you?
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I'm doing great, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Well, you look dapper as always. Hey, I wanted to just point out for the audience, 2 helpful interviews in a row. This on the back of my interview with Dr. Ben Tapper regarding vaccines, parasitic tumors, and cancer. Folks, some of the information we're going to convey and share with you in this interview may just save your life or the lives of people you love. But I want to start here today with news that is just beyond the pale. Breaking, a UN official, Mohammed Safa, has resigned over preparations for a nuclear strike on Iran. Folks, people do not understand the gravity of this situation. Nuking millions of people in Tehran, a place where 10 million people live, would be an abomination that I just can't get my brain around. Meanwhile, Lindsey Graham, one of these Zionists who's pounding the table for this war, well, he's vacationing alone in Disney World. Make it make sense. And then I want to play this clip from Joe Kent because it's something you should all hear. But first, let me just point out that Kneebender Cat Turd is literally maligning Joe Kent for saying this. And I think it's very important. We'll listen.
This week, President Trump will be under immense pressure to commit ground troops to the war in Iran. This would be a catastrophic escalation that will only result in more bloodshed and further escalate this disastrous war. It is critical that we, the people, have our voices heard. Contact the White House comment line, contact the congressional switchboard, ask for your representative, ask for your senators. Respectfully tell them that we do not support putting any boots on the ground in Iran. This is how we, the people, can have our voices heard. It's critical that we pray for peace, but it's also critical that we work towards peace. Respectfully contact your elected officials and let them know we, the people, do not support this war. Thank you. God bless.
Okay. Why am I playing that? Well, for obvious reasons, because I don't want a war, and I certainly won't send my 19-year-old to die in Iran for Israel. But look, I've told you these people are pathetic, no-spine knee benders. Here they are, Gunther Eagleman. No more wars, he used to say. Cat turd, no more U.S. involvement in foreign wars, he used to say. What's he saying here regarding Joe Kent's plea? He says, I voted for Trump, not you. Don't you have another doomer grifter podcast to go on today to whine, leaker? A knee bender through and through. You know, I hate to do that to you because today we're going to talk about actual cures for cancer, but it's beyond the pale to me that these knee benders would behave in such a duplicitous nature. Jonathan, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think that what you're talking about is really important, and like standing up against human sacrifice is actually what is happening there, right? So you think that, okay, well, you know, we have different ideals. There's countries at war. There's disagreements, but you don't realize how much satanic things are happening hidden in plain sight. And you could see this evidence with people like Aleister Crowley being a correspondent and advisor to Winston Churchill during the Second World War, and that is atrocious to understand that you have a known and practicing Satanist that is advising a prime minister to basically, it's giving you a key or clue into the fact that what you think is just a war based on maybe a country defending itself or a country needing to go to war based on certain ideals is cloaked in just blatant killing and slaughter and bloodshed for the sake of killing itself, for the sake of laying down our noble young men and women of this earth.
Did you use the term blood sacrifice? Because I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree any more. It was Rothschild's mother 200 years ago that said, if my sons didn't want there to be wars, there would be no wars. Meanwhile, in the Epstein emails, you've got Jeff Epstein saying, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschild family. Rothschild is Israel, and here we are now on the cusp of another war. No, we're in a war. And God help those troops that are going to find their boots on the ground very, very soon. It just breaks my heart. But here's the website, guys, myredlight.com. I have one of these panels. It's unbelievable. The quality of this thing is absolutely unbelievable. And we're going to talk about cancer cures. I don't know if I can use that word. Can I use that word, Jonathan? Cure?
Right, yeah, remission, therapies that are helping people achieve complete remission. These are the words. Remission, we could say that it's supporting the body. And the other thing is that because of the actual nature and science of how these things work, that no therapy can cure you or heal you or put you in remission. No therapy can actually do that. No therapist can do that. No doctor can do that. The body can do it, and God can do it. And what happens if you can restore normalcy in the body, you can send the right frequencies into the body. The body is just responding normally, and it's able to heal and generate cells normally. It's able to combat toxicity. It's able to combat circulating tumor cells in the case of cancer. So we could talk about therapies that help unlock the body's healing potential, which would then mean that people that have a terminal condition like cancer can live their lives without a label and without a death decree against them.
Man, you're a much better wordsmith than I got to tell you. Well done. Yeah. I don't know if we can say cancer cures, so I won't, folks. I won't say that. I will never say cancer cures. You'll never hear those words come out of my mouth. Cancer cures? No, we can't talk about cancer cures. What we can talk about, though, is this clip with Mel Gibson talking about cancer something or other, a word I can't say. Listen to this.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends, All three of them had stage 4 cancer. All three of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Yep. Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin? And fenbendazole? Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people are drinking methylene blue and stuff.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that they turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
All right, let me pause it there. Guys, did you catch it? I know Jonathan caught it. Listen to this.
There's stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Yep. Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin? Fenbendazole? Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
Hydrochloride something or other. I'm pretty sure that's chlorine dioxide he's referring to. John, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. The way that I know that is that Dr. Andreas Kalka explained to me that it was, in fact, it was a student of his that had worked with all three of those friends, and she's based in that area, in Santa Monica area, and that was the report that she gave. And for him, it completely lined up. She's in those areas. She works with those types of folks, and that there's no reason to kind of make that up randomly. So Dr. Andres Kalka, they've treated around, not him personally, but their methodology that they've open sourced, meaning that I'm going to show you how they do it on their own systems, around 30 million people, right? So this is not really that big a deal. It's just a bigger deal because it's a public conversation. And it's actually also cool that he doesn't really know what he's talking about, because it's just showing these anecdotal reports coming into the fore that give people hope. And he gives some clues actually to a very well-rounded protocol that we're going to talk about today, because many of you have loved ones that are suffering and they arguably don't need to.
1000%. And I want to talk a little bit more about this, specifically the benefits of red light therapy on your mitochondrial health. I'll play this clip in just 1 second, but the good news we want to share, as we shared in that interview with Dr. Ben Tapper yesterday, guys, is that Dr. William Makis, he's showing tremendous results with the use of ivermectin, fenbendazole, in some cases menbendazole. These are anti-parasitic drugs. And what are we finding out now? Well, the CIA has been covering up the truth about cancer for decades. The fact that these tumors, these cancer tumors, are very many times, if not at all times, parasitic infections, parasites, folks. But let me play this clip regarding your mitochondrial health. And mitochondrial health is something Mel Gibson just touched on in that last clip.
Right, like where do we really get our energy from? It's really one energy source called ATP, right? And it's produced inside this little organelle called the mitochondria. There's about 110 trillion of these in your body. 10% of your body weight is mitochondria. And the mitochondria has a voracious appetite for oxygen. When it receives oxygen, it will create 16 times more energy. It will produce 36 ATP rather than 2 ATP. So imagine a little mitochondria that has a motor inside of it called the Krebs cycle. And every time this motor makes one revolution, it has two choices. It can either create 2 units of energy, 2 ATP, or it can create 36 units of energy, 36 ATP. The difference between a 16-fold increase or 16-fold decrease in energy is the presence of oxygen. And so if oxygen enters this cycle, right, it produces 16 times more energy. It puts out water, and it also puts out carbon dioxide. If there's no oxygen present, it only produces 2 ATP, and it releases lactic acid, and which, by the way, doesn't make your muscles burn, but it releases lactic acid. So what if when you used a red light bed, one of those wavelengths of light actually goes through the mitochondrial wall, and it goes into this motor. It goes into the Krebs cycle, and it actually kicks out a gas called mitochondrial nitric oxide and forces oxygen to dock.
Okay, let me pause it there. I'm going to return to my guest. That sounds like science fiction. It sounds too good to be true, Jonathan. Is it true? Is that red light panel that I got from you guys, is that actually improving my mitochondrial health? Because I can't, it's invisible to me, but I do feel better.
That's awesome. No, it's definitely proven. it's proven. It's not science fiction. If there weren't thousands of studies validating what he's saying, then we could maybe say, look, it's a really good it's a good play on people's gullibility, but it's actually true. So much so that you look at organs that have a high concentration of mitochondria, like the brain. Eyes are part of the brain. You'll notice that because of that, the eyesight studies done by University College London, they found 17% improvement in eyesight after just 3 minutes, right? So just 3 minutes, eyes open, check the eyesight, the same 24-hour period, 17% improvement right away. So things which could be the difference between reading and not reading. And I've seen that a lot of times. And I've seen that in mid-90-year-olds as well, like people that you would think, okay, they've kind of lived their life. They could just, live and just be accepting that they're alive, and you don't ask for too much. Well, my grandma on my wife's side is 87, and her life has changed because of a little red light panel like that. And she's gone back to being able to travel and live back in the home that we built for her, which she had to move out from. She was falling too much. She split her head. It was about 15 stitches. It was a lot. And that was how I convinced her to use the red light to heal that. But then her cognitive improvement was so dramatic that she was able then to regain her mobility. She's doing it twice a day now, 30 minutes a day. And she's about to, at 87 years old, after decades of being on thyroid medication for underactive thyroid, like Hashimoto's, she's about to get off her thyroid medication completely.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty impressive. Like, this is a real evidence. And I could keep citing examples just like that.
Yeah, and I want you to as well, because I've got a clip to play. To me, it's very related in the sense that we see turbo cancers now exploding all over the world after the rollout of the bioweapon masquerading as a vaccine. And that's really what sparked Dr. William Makis's work in this area. And he discovered that he and other doctors discovered that these anti-parasitic medications like ivermectin were helping people. And it's really important that we cover this because this is horrifying. I've been talking a lot about this, and you tell me if red light therapy can help a woman like this. This is an unvaxxed woman. Okay, she didn't take the COVID-19 bioweapon, Jonathan, but she got her blood test, and she just got the results back, and she's horrified. Yeah. Listen to this.
Okay, my results are in, and I have not looked at them yet. Kind of nervous. Again, I am not vaccinated. I did not take any of the COVID vaccine. All right, we're scrolling. Oh, motherfucker. Unbelievable. Okay, well, obviously my results are not what I wanted. mRNA sequence presence, yes. N1 methyl, yes. And it tells you which pharmaceutical company is in your blood. Disruption of RNA, yes. Disruption of DNA, yes.
Yeah, she's very upset. She swears a bit more. Apologies for the profanity, Jonathan. I'll bleep that out. She's very upset, and she should be. RNA disruption, DNA disruption. What's in her body? Well, it's courtesy of Pfizer and Moderna. Folks, this is unbelievable. She's got the sequencing, the mRNA garbage in her blood, and she never took the vaccine, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering if red light therapy can help oxygenate our mitochondria.
Yeah.
You see what I'm driving at here?
Yeah, I'm glad you are. And I'm going to show you that it can. And I'll tell you as well, there's some other therapies that it's good to know. I had a friend, Manny, he asked me for help with his mother. She had long COVID, but she also hadn't taken the vaccine, but she had this horrific case of Guillain-Barré. So she was paralyzed and in hospital. And he's like, oh, can you get me in touch with a couple of doctors? I'm like, yeah, but I can't even convince these guys what they need to be doing. So yeah, I'll connect you. But then they didn't get back to him, whatever. I'm like, dude, here's what to do. And within 2 days, she was walking out of hospital, and like nothing happened to her. And it was nicotine, right? So there's a couple of key tools that are going to denature these poisons, get them out of the body. And there are people that are taking nicotine and they still are stuck as well, right? So that can happen too, or they get mildly better, but they don't get a complete turnaround. So I'll show you some examples here. This is a long COVID case with photobiomodulation, and this was a profound example because it wasn't just partially effective for some of the participants in the study. It was completely effective, right? So this is European Society of Medicine, and they're looking specifically at acute long COVID, which is mostly vaccine injuries. maybe the majority. But this woman, this is a case of what's a vaccine injury, even though she didn't get it directly put into her, it was still put into her via shedding. So now, which is really relevant here, because there's a whole section on shedding. See, prophylactic benefits were recorded in 17 out of 17 asymptomatic to mild patients exposed to viral shedding of infected family members. That's called 100% success in protection regarding viral shedding. This is LED, light emitting diode, which would be non-flicker, which is what you're seeing here behind me because of the high delivery of power. It's the safest way to do red light therapy. LED, for those that think that it's toxic, they're mistaking that with high flicker rate. Light emitting diode, LED, and we've discussed this before, Sean, is really important for people to understand that, because it specifically shows here as well. It says that both conformal LED pads and scanning lasers demonstrated favorable outcomes. LEDs had higher fluences, which is talking about power delivered. But now let's come back to this. This was PBM of long COVID outcomes include total resolution of dyspnea, which is shortness of breath. Okay, so what does that sound like? An oxygen issue. You're gasping for more air because you need more oxygen in your cells. You're not getting enough. Why? Because there's toxins that are disturbing the mitochondria, so they can't make enough ATP, cellular energy, and this is what causes cells to breathe. It's called cellular respiration. And there's an enzyme that light is activating called cytochrome C oxidase. When you see the word chrome, it means light, right? So this enzyme is activated by light, and it's the most critical enzyme for cellular respiration. Notice all these categories come in. So this was total resolution of dyspnea, and then oxygen is above 97% in the blood without supplementation. Digestive issues are resolved, which is then showing that there's an issue with oxygen in the gut as well. Brain fog is resolved. Memory recall is resolved. Restored executive function, and then emotional deficits are resolved. And so that is critical, because look, that was 62 out of 62 patients. Full recovery occurred within 4 sessions for all photobiomodulation patients. All but 2 cases resolved within 1 week. So they all got better, but 60 out of 62 got better within a single week. But the 4 sessions was all that was needed for complete recovery for all 62. Pretty impressive, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. No, I reacted to that. That is insanely good news. Now, what is the protocol in this case?
Yeah, okay. Yes, good. I'm so glad you asked that. Okay, so notice at the title, and this is really important, because there's some people that are picking up like a face mask, like this, right? Which are great for the face, right? They're great for the face, but this is not red light therapy in this sense, right? This is not whole organ. And like even like a belt would not be considered whole organ, but it could be if you kept putting it around other areas of the body. Now, okay, so what did they do? They did 64 to 84 minute long sessions. You'll see it there, 64 to 84-minute long sessions. And so they did 4 within a week. They got rid of all acute symptomatic issues within 3 days for all 62 people. So this is life-saving from these 2 sessions. But once they had 4, then it was total resolution of all outcomes. But there were 2 cases that they couldn't resolve, not out of the 62, but out of a bigger case group, which is 350. See that approximately 350, and these 2 cases were severe long COVID anxiety and nosophobia. That's the fear of getting diseases. These are both like basically what you call hypochondria. So it doesn't really count. And you get severe long COVID anxiety and nosophobia from watching too much CNN. You just get it. You can't get rid of it. That's the disease, right? So that was a slam dunk. And when you're ready, this then comes directly over then to the cancer case and what Mel Gibson was talking about with the methylene blue, because it's an oxygenator, but it needs to be activated. I would caution people, and not out of a self-serving interest, because I'm about to tell you about a bunch of free therapies, and one of them is this chlorine dioxide. I'm going to demonstrate it on camera. I'm going to show how it oxygenates.
Yeah, I want to see it. We can't really see you though. Do you want to end the screen share and do it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I will. I'll show that. Okay. So, and my point there being that it's not out of self-interest that I'm telling you that you need to activate methylene blue with red light at 660. It's a textile dye. So if you're not, realizing that you need to make sure you offset the issue of using a fabric dye in your body, then you need to really think about that. Secondly, you need to understand that it's a photosensitizer, meaning that it's sensitizing you to light. So if you miss the oxygen, if you miss the red light aspect, you've got part of the equation. By the way, for those that aren't familiar with my work or need to be reminded of the fact that there's a reason why I'm the person to listen to, or one of the key people to listen to on the subject. This is a book, The Cancer Off Switch. There, Dr. Tony Jimenez, the founder, 30 years of experience with the Hope for Cancer Treatment Centers in integrative oncology, describes my work as not only groundbreaking, but potentially life-saving, and not just recommended, but essential. His words, not mine. And he was not paid to write that. So here we go.
Lovely. That's a very lovely review. And let me ask you something. Now, what you're going to demonstrate is how easy it is to make chlorine dioxide water, guys. Part 1, part 2, couple of drops. I do like 15 drops of each in a big, I guess, what is this? A 32-ounce bottle of water I have right here with chlorine dioxide in it. But I wanted to ask you, before you show people that, methylene blue. I take it. Now, when that all became the rage, they sell it, hand over fist over at InfoWars, and that's where I got mine. But it does stain your fingers if you get it. I mean, it stains everything blue. And
your teeth and your tongue and
and then when you urinate, your urine's blue. So
no way around that one.
Your thoughts on methylene blue? Is it safe and effective, and should people be taking it? And if so, how often?
No, it's great. Short answer is yes. You could do it, like, for example, like let's say if you had cancer, then the benefits are so great. And I'm going to show this. I'm going to show you some AI through Grok on analysis of really collectively several hundred studies on cancer with methylene blue, and why then that becomes so critical. Like, you think about your cancer risk, it's 50% for a male and 33% for a female. 1 in 3 for females, 1 in 2 for males. So that is such a huge risk. And so the downside of putting in like a fabric dye to clear out your circulating tumor cells is significant. To get around the dye issue, you could use Earth Harmony has a capsule form. They use nano gold as well. It's very inexpensive, just like chlorine dioxide is very inexpensive. Chlorine dioxide being the cheapest. And then red light therapy also becomes one of the cheapest therapies by far, because it's a one and done. Like the unit that my grandma, my abuela on my wife's side used is we sell that on discount for $1,200. That's how much it would have cost her for a thyroid medication for a single year. And so that's crazy, meaning that she can now use that for the next 10 years. And she saved about $1,200 a year to $12,000 over the next 10 years is what she's going to spend on a thyroid medication. So she saved about $11,000. Okay. So did red light cost her anything? No. And then if she got it on a payment plan, it would cost her $100 a month for the 12 months that she would have spent anyway. You can't get off your thyroid medication until you can prove that you can. But because we're on that subject, you do need to see this with the methylene blue. Okay, so check this out, and we're gonna get to the chlorine dioxide. You guys are gonna be excited to see that. Okay, so here's the one in Grok, for example. So this is 7 out of 10 studies with 99% success. And I search for the keywords, because once you hear things that I say, you need to do the research, right? You need to put these words into the algorithms yourself. And so this was found, for example, 99.9% shrinkage in some colorectal tumor models and 100% elimination in certain nanoparticle enhanced breast cancer models. Okay. So those numbers are huge. Like, that's a slam dunk. That's done. And then you see this here, for example, it's using these peak, that's the peak of the activation at 630 and 660 for methylene blue. They're the activation points. So if you're not using red light therapy, definitely go out and get sunlight after you do methylene blue, and it's going to cover some of that, but you're not getting a high dose of the 660. And that's why something like what's behind me, which just switched off, is about between 20, 30, even 40 times the amount of power from the sun in that red spectrum. That is what's activating these enzymes like the cytochrome C oxidase, generating the ATP, helping to generate this specific part, which is reactive oxygen species that's damaging and killing the cancer cells. So that's why it was effective. That's why it worked. And so here you see 98.6% cell death in malignant cells after, look at that, 24 hours. Okay. Wow. And then you see colorectal tumors. Then you saw that one, some nanoparticle formulations. So notice that I mentioned Earth Harmony. I don't have a direct affiliation with them. I like those guys. There's nothing that I'm gaining from that other than just the feeling of knowing that told you something that will be effective.
And what do they sell? What's Earth Harmony?
Yeah, Earth Harmony, methylene blue with the nano gold. With the nano gold. Sorry, thank you for helping me conclude that thought. So 100% complete clinical pathogenic response and after single, look at that, single photodynamic treatment. That's red light when the photosensitizer is used. Guys, don't feel like you have to use methylene blue. If you don't want to, you don't feel like it's for you, then you could be right. Curcumin, berberine, artemisinin, all natural. Ivermectin comes from artemisinin, which is sweet wormwood. So use those. And use those about 2 to 3 hours. Put it into Google or ChatGPT or Grok, and it will tell you even like take this, before, make sure you've got 60 nanometer light. And it's part of the reason why these light panels that are now off, they've got 9 different wavelengths, and it makes sure that you can activate these things. There's a reason why, by the way, Hope for Cancer Treatment Centers, they're putting our beds into their clinic. But the more important part for you guys is their patient follow-up program means that they are getting our red light devices as part of their patient follow-up program. Wow. That's how much Dr. Tony Jimenez believes in what I'm doing. So you're not getting this like knockoff thing that you don't know if it works. So therefore you don't even use it. You're getting something that literally could cost you 5 or 10 times the cost. But that's not our mission to make money. Our mission is to save lives. And so then we made it possible for people, right? So anyways, you're seeing all these, blockbuster results, and it's fascinating, right? And then the mechanisms are very clear, and this is why as well. And I mentioned the photosensitizers. I'll show you it here in real print here. This is curcumin as a photosensitizer. It's again proving effective. If you're doing methylene blue, it's not counteractive with curcumin, so you could use both of them. There's the clinical studies showing that it's activating, helping to kill the cancer cells. Berberine as a photosensitizer, same thing, and generating reactive oxygen species. By the way, guys, God made it this way. All plants are photosensitizers. So if you have a chronic condition, eat more raw plants, dark leafy greens. There's a strong and big movement trying to warn people off eating plants. But read Genesis 1 and you'll realize that if it's not godly to get people to not eat any plants. I mean, I don't want to make it a religious thing, but I'm just saying that these are examples.
They're demonizing the eating of vegetables and green leafy foods in China?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And are they? Yeah, in lots of places. But look at these breakthrough studies like this inoperable lung cancer, nearly 87% overall response rate here, meaning that it's a complete anti-tumor strategy. And so there you have all these breakthrough studies. Here's breast cancer cells. This was a 24-hour study here, 40% drop in cell viability. This is in vitro, and it was just 660 that could do that, which means it's an important wavelength, but it's not the only one. Near infrared is more important for prostate cancer, for anything deeper. And remember, guys, we're not trying to just go after one thing. Most people watching this as well maybe don't have a specific type of cancer or issue of that regard, but what you want to do is interface with all these regions of the body. And by doing so, you're able to then get to the bottom of the issue. And I'll show you what I mean by that. As you can see here, these are the 9 wavelengths that we're using in our devices, and it's an important part of understanding why this works clinically. But notice here that they're penetrating different levels, and it's serendipitous because when you're eating the plants, they're going to help activate, and the plants are then absorbing into all this tissue. And you see it with methylene blue. It's very systemic. That's why the urine turns blue, because your urine is actually just filtered blood. People don't know that. We've really lost a lot of basic biology. So urine is filtered blood. It's where you have a concentration of antibodies. There's a reason why people have actually taken their own urine and reversed a lot of issues, including cancer and COVID vaccine injuries, right? It sounds far-fetched, but that's where antibodies concentrate. So anyway, nevertheless, look at all these wavelengths going up to the near infrared, going so deep as to go through the bone, interior tissues to the center of the organs. And then by interfacing with all of them, you're getting to these regions in the body that mean that you can interface with these abnormal cells and cause them to be either normal or undergo programmed cell death, which is apoptosis. See breast cancer, stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, head and neck, brain, cervical. I mean, these are red light studies at these wavelengths typically with photosensitizers, but not always. Some of them exclusively just with the light itself. The one I just showed you on breast cancer didn't have a photosensitizer. Pretty impressive. And I haven't even talked about like the thyroid cases, and we're turning around thyroid conditions. And the thyroid studies showed that when people did supplements, and then the group that did supplements and red light, the red light group did 70 times better, 70 times better at achieving thyroid hormone balance. How impressive is that?
It is. It's very impressive. And I just want to point out too that to me, when we talk about red light therapy, this delivers at least to some extent on that promise of med beds, because nobody
Yeah.
knew what that was. What's a med bed? Do the Rothschilds have med beds? The elite get access to med beds? Well, whatever a med bed would be doing, in part, would be invisible, right, to the naked eye. And that's what you're
Yeah.
describing. That's why I said earlier, it feels too good. It sounds too good to be true that red light therapy could have these kinds of results, Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's drive the point home. It
It's
is
true.
true. It is
It's true.
It's hard
It's
to
true.
believe, but to me, it seems too good to be true because you can't see it. You
Yeah.
can't see it, but it is true.
You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Why? Because the truth, whether it's good news or bad news, accept it all, accept the things that are true, accept that the fact that there are children being trafficked, so you can do something about it. Don't just cover your eyes. Like, accept the things that are true, both good and bad. If there's good news about the cancer that you or a loved one has been diagnosed with, accept the truth in every form it comes in, because then you'll continually find answers and solutions, and God will not leave you abandoned or orphaned when you need help. And the message comes through accepting, acknowledging the things that are there, and that have been delivered to you and given to you. God made you in his image. So it shouldn't be a shock that in this time that we would develop things that would allow us to deliver what he has made into our bodies at exponential rates that allow us to be able to get better results than what we would get just in nature alone. Because I'm very much about getting into nature. You'll see me in appropriate settings with my shirt off in nature, because I'm getting that light in my body. So guys, get into nature. I'm not an exhibitionist, right? My wife's probably laughing in the background here. But I know the power of these things, and like how many people are struggling with fibromyalgia, and here you see they're less pain, improved quality of life, less afraid of movement, enjoyed leisure activities. My children like depend on us to do, my little ones, our joy and our happiness is their joy and happiness. Recovering post-stroke, which is another oxygen related issue. Here you see these dramatic results post-stroke, and there's the 96% of women achieving normal thyroid size in 12 months. But that was not a 12-month treatment period. It was a 3-week treatment period. It was a follow-up in 12 months, which is amazing news, meaning that what you do in 3 weeks, meaning that you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you think, oh man, if I don't bring this big red light panel like I did, I'm going to have a relapse. No, it's structurally changing your body. What you did has garnished. It's like you put money in the bank. Like me going on this red light panel, it's not active so much during the time that I'm doing it. It's more active for that 72 hours after, or in this case, the 12 months after. But it had to be structural first. It had to change first, and then it could last. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's stunning. I think we should read this paragraph. Unlike standard medication, which only replaces missing hormones, red light therapy helped reduce thyroid inflammation, shrink the enlarged thyroid, with 96% of women reaching normal thyroid size in 12 months. That's stunning. And I want to ask you, what kind of treatment, what is the protocol on a daily basis for that study? Is it an hour a day, half hour a day?
Yeah, exactly. I love this question. Thank you. I'll show it to you. One, you shouldn't believe what I just had there on the screen a second ago. This is what you should believe. And here's what they did. These are the parameters that are most important first, right? Which is, what were the wavelengths? These are the questions you ask, and what was the irradiance? Then the other questions, like, was there EMFs and was there flicker rate? Those two then become important. But let's imagine that the company is trying to do the right thing, so they're not going to have a high flicker rate, but they still may not have the right wavelengths to penetrate deep enough or shallow enough, depending, right? You saw the graph, 660, if it was breast cancer, is going to be better than 820. but 820 is going to be really good anyway, because you're still going to have to interface with that region of the body. This part here, 200 milliwatts of power, this is almost unheard of, right? Most devices you're seeing, even there's going to be a shock. I don't want to necessarily call out the names, but the $150,000 beds often in clinics are using somewhere between 50 and 80 milliwatts of power. Okay, so, but then you see this in the study, and that's one of the reasons why the groups like the Hope for Cancer Treatment Center use our devices, because they're over 200 milliwatts of power, 205, 207. Like the small, even the smaller ones are like 195, which is still, but at 3 inches, meaning that if you get a centimeter away, it again goes back over to 200. And where do I sit on the device? A centimeter away, because it's a better delivery, but it's up to you. You could be 3 inches away. But look, it was using selenium and vitamin D3, right? So you take the supplements, ideally, 2 to 3 hours beforehand, or just do it, whatever. And in this case, it was only twice weekly for 3 weeks. And that is one of the most unusual aspects. My grandma was an example of somebody that didn't even put it over her thyroid, which is the best place to put it. She was too scared of it going into her eyes, which is exactly what I'm telling people to do, put it over their eyes. She had a back to it, and still she got the result that she's getting at her ripe old age, or let's not call her old age, but like her ripe young age of 87. Pretty impressive. So you could do it completely wrong, but in general, Sean, look at biology, look at nature. You see the sunrise and set. When the sun rises and sets, it's red both times. You're biologically designed for red light twice a day. If you did have the time for it, you don't have to do it that way. This is only twice a week. So you could go little or a lot. In the morning, you're going to get a high delivery of how your body will respond, like with eyesight, if it was in the morning versus the afternoon. Afternoon, 0% improvement in eyesight. University College London, average result, people over 40, 0 improvement in eyesight. In the morning, whether it was 3 minutes or 45 minutes, outcome was the same. 17% improvement in eyesight immediately within the same 24-hour period. So biologically, I'm saying that there's a thyroid-brain connection. Eyes are part of the brain. I'm saying that your body's going to respond slightly better in the morning for like regenerative purposes, and better for sleep related purposes in the evening. It's a clock to tell you you're on, you're off, and make everything work. It's pretty simple.
Okay. And I want you to show folks the chlorine dioxide, because
Yes,
I
I'm
talk
ready.
about
This
it
is
a
going to be great.
lot. I talk about it a lot. And I
You
think
should.
until
And
you
I
do it,
love you for that, Sean. I love you for that.
well, I just think until you do it, until you buy it, until you figure out how to do it, it seems a little, it seems a little woo-woo, right? But it's not
Yep.
woo-woo. And Mel Gibson called it hydrochloride.
Yep.
We know he was talking about chlorine dioxide.
Yep.
It's very
Yep.
cheap. It's very effective. I had Mark Grennan on, and he made me a
Great.
believer. My wife and I now drink it every single day with chlorine dioxide in our drinking water. Can you show people?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. Absolutely. Okay, so it's simple, right? So I've got part A, part B. So you could get this from Amazon. This is a brand called KV Lab. I don't sell it. I will never sell it. Mark Rennan is a good reason. Basically, he went through a lot, right? Because of these criminals that are running the show, right? So you just get these two solutions. My ideal out of the two would be the one with hydrochloric acid, but it will work with a citric acid. It's better, like the hydrochloric acid, because your gut produces it. In that sense, it's more natural. Okay. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to get here part A. I'll start with part A. I'm going to put 5 drops in this cup. Okay. You're going to see me do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There is another way to do this, which is to use Dr. Andreas Kalker's methods. So you could go into Rumble and put in how to make CDS, which is chlorine dioxide solution. For anyone that needs a more gentle solution, use that method. And there's a couple more steps, but it's easier than making a pancake. And so if you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to get better. I'm just telling you. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I do 5 there? I might have done 5, might have done 6. That's the thing. Who cares, right? It's not like I'm dealing with a lethal substance. I'm dealing with 2 salts, sodium and chloride, 2 salts at a 25% concentration. You see that there?
Yeah.
That's the reason why it works. Now I'm going to put water to this, but now I'm going to show you something. I've got a light here that's lighting up my face. Now I'm going to put this in front of this light. I'm going to put my hand over it. Now, when you see this, let's see if I've got enough like UV light in this light, which is not let's see, because I may be able to make this oxygenate itself, that you'll see the oxygen come out of this. Okay. I want you guys to see this. I'm going to walk outside, and it's going to take me 10 seconds to do this, but I want you to see this.
Okay. Guys, it's hard to overstate how effective this product is, chlorine dioxide. And in that interview I did with Mark Grennan, he explains how it was curing people that had malaria. Chlorine dioxide was curing people with malaria. So this stuff is unbelievably safe and effective. That's why Brandy Zadrozny from NBC News calls it bleach. Look at that.
Have you seen this before?
No.
Ready? All I did was put it out in the sun, right?
Holy cow.
Isn't that cool? You just heard about what oxygen would do, right, for your body. And okay, now I'm not trying to like be a bartender that's, you know, giving you some smoke you could drink, trying to be this cool little, you know, bartender. I'm not trying to do that. You don't actually want to do what I just did then, because it's going to then evaporate your substance. But I want to show you what it's doing in the body. And now all I'm going to do is add to a liter of water. Say, and I've got a plastic bottle here, right? Why I'm traveling. I have a bottle that has a straw in it that can filter that out. I think it's called Life Straw, but I'm going to just do this. You really shouldn't put it in metal. This is going to be quite a high dose, being at like 5 milliliters. I should be having about 5 drops of each, not 5 milliliters. So with 10 drops of each, I could put that into a liter of water, and then I'd drink that throughout the day. And that would be the solution. And ideally, you would drink that every hour. That would, because it's more about delivery. Like, think about it. Okay, how long am I going to hold? You know, how long is this oxygen going to last for? Right. So it's about consistently delivering oxygen into your body. Right. So, guys, I didn't die. Stop being so scared.
Well, you know what, the way I look at it is that it oxygenates the blood and it forces the bad stuff out of your body. And obviously I'm no doctor, but that's exactly how I look at chlorine dioxide. And I drink it almost every day. The only times we're not drinking it every day is when we forget to make more. And then my wife says, hey, I need another chlorine dioxide bottle. And what I wanted to ask you too, before we part ways, is for those who get a terrible, terrible diagnosis from their doctor, they get a cancer diagnosis. I want them to know about the anti-parasitic medications, fenbendazole, ivermectin, menbendazole, the great work Dr. Makis is doing in the area. I want them to know about red light therapy and chlorine dioxide and vitamin B17 and vitamin B15. I mean, and vitamin C, intravenous vitamin C for people with cancer, as opposed to running out and talking to your oncologist immediately and getting on chemotherapy. I don't know. I think there's a better way to go here, Jonathan. What do you think?
Yeah,
Best to avoid it
exactly.
at all. But if you do get one of these terrible diagnoses, my personal opinion would be you get on the anti-parasitic medications, the chlorine dioxide, the red light therapy. And by the way, this is not medical advice, Jonathan, but we
No.
want to help people. So
Entertainment. This is entertainment and education, right? So we're entertaining you with things that we've researched and that we're interested in, and you're doing your own research. You can consult with your own healthcare provider, and it's really just circulating of information. These are reports. I'm an investigative journalist, and potentially one of the best out there when it comes to connecting the dots. We've seen thousands of cases of various conditions get resolved through the information we put out to the public. It's up to people to do with this information what they will. And so, to answer your question there, just these are examples. This is on a site called deoxypedia.com. These are graphic images, but look, guys, better out than in, and it ends well. So don't don't be too concerned about the graphic images you're seeing when you see these things resolved. This was a prostate cancer case with a PSA of over 1100, and here he is completely benign. There's nothing now active in the form of cancer. This was a published study as well that was done on that particular case. That's deoxypedia.com. Guys, you're the lucky ones. I'm on shows all the time, and I cannot say these sites because they're deleted off YouTube. Don't take this lightly. That's the thing that will frustrate me the most. You will frustrate me if you listen to this and you don't do anything with it, when there's so many people that need this information, it's not just you and me, it's all the people we care about. Please just share this knowledge with others, and share with them this episode, because we're giving you the tools. And this is open source content. So you'd go here to Deoxypedia, and I'm going to come over to the parasite protocols, go to the main page or click on the icon there, scroll down to where it has CDS protocols, and then, start with protocol C, which is similar to what I just mentioned, but it's with the solution. So you just, like I said, go on Rumble, put in how to make CDS, and you'll see that Dr. Kalka teaches on that. You can look at God's Universal Antidote.org. They have great protocols as well. But just do something, guys. Use the bath, use the CDS, the drinking, as I've just shared, or just start somewhere, and it may be just enough to do what you need to do. Then when it comes to ivermectin and fenbendazole, Dr. William Marcus has great protocols. I would follow his protocols for that. Dr. Thomas Lodi, and go to their sites, look at what they're publishing, and then just try those protocols. And then you can come over to then with the red light therapy. Then in that sense, you need a tool. You need something that will work. And then, so my recommendation is to get a panel that has multi-spectrum that will be able to hit the wavelengths that you need. By the way, we're talking about photosensitizers. This was a complete remission in cutaneous B-cell lymphoma after just 2 sessions. There were 3 people in that pilot trial, and all 3 got complete success, 100% remission.
Well, let me show the website here, myredlight.com. Guys, if you scroll down, you can get the bundles, and you'll save big using my coupon code. 25% off on individual mats, SGT 30 for 30% off bundles. That's SGT 25 for 25% off individual mats. Now, this is a panel, and I think I have this panel right here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's beautiful.
No, you do.
I mean, the construction of this thing is just bulletproof, and I use it every single day. The coupon codes are below. What do you recommend for my listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So like some of these panels behind me, like the one here, which is the RL Pro 300 Max, right? So this is going to cover all your organs, as you could see, right? It's up against me here. It's cast iron, like you mentioned, Sean. I love what you said, where it was like the first feeling when you first got an iPhone, and I feel like you summarized something.
I did. Well, I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. The quality is beautiful, and right, Apple, their displays. I've always been a fan. The construction of this thing is just beautiful.
I appreciate you saying that. Like, it's just nice when people see the hard work you put into something, and what you've labored on to make a difference for others. So you could see that I could program everything here. I could choose all different settings. So this would be a great example. Whether it's this one, or for example, if somebody was like on a really tight budget, and then like I mentioned with my grandma, the RL Pro 200 is it's bigger than half the size of this, but it's enough to kind of get from your head to the top of your organs here, or like something, halfway through your gut, or towards your large intestine, or depending on how big or small you are. But at the end of the day, like if you invest a little more, you can do a little more in a little less time, and it becomes of value then. And I've got people like Lance Armstrong and Mark Calloway, the Undertaker, the wrestler, on a device like this, or whether it's I've got some kind of household names using these same products, which is kind of nice for people to know. Oh, look, normally I'd think that they'd be on their like $200,000 devices, because they can afford, like, let's say billionaire. I've got some billionaires on different tools on these devices. You'd think, okay, maybe they would use something else, and I use these things. But instead, no, this is that A level, which is amazing. But that would be great. You can see the PEMF mat behind me, which is a full body treatment. You can kind of just see that there.
And I think you should tell people what that's most effectively used for.
This magnet here, if I put this over, there's 8 coils on there of the pulse electromagnetic field. That's going to rattle this around, which is really cool to visibly see this, because then you realize what it's doing to your cells, because your cells are functioning and signaling through electromagnetics. What you're doing is you're basically putting jumper cables to your electromagnetic system that's causing the chain reaction, that's causing everything to function. And that's why this study is done on PEMF show that it's the #1 thing For insomnia, 69.7% of the insomniacs in the clinical study went into remission of insomnia. Let's see, you saw the same conditions, like whether it was prostate cancer, breast cancer. There's thousands of studies on PEMF for all different conditions, fibromyalgia and osteoarthritis, knee pain, right? The whole spectrum. It was, one of the most effective, because what's happening is it's the other side of red light. If you're out getting red light, what you're getting at the same time is the Earth's magnetic field. And you can amplify that. In this case, like if you put this magnet anywhere on the ground outside, right? If I step outside and put this, it's not going to rattle like that. It's not going to, have that extreme of a reaction. So, and if you measure the amplitude and the magnetic field strength, it's between, amplitude is about 1 million times higher, and then magnetic field strength is between 2 and 3 million times higher. The pulse electromagnetic field map versus the Earth's magnetic field with our devices, right? So it's got near infrared and red in it as well. So it allows you to get that treatment from one side while you could do the red light on top of you with the stand, as an example. Or you could just decide that you're going to do one or the other for now and maybe add the other on later. But if you can, it's great to stack those therapies, because the therapies, when combined, are showing that it is the most effective. And as I've been mentioning, things like the chlorine dioxide, you'll be up for about $30. And I'm not saying that you need any one of these things to make the other one effective. If it's for cancer and things like that, and you have a really hard and difficult case, then definitely stacking the therapies is very important and very effective. But you should just go and take action on the things that you can do and not let anything hold you back, because it's just worth it, right? Like I had a woman with 9 out of 10 pain with sciatica. Her name is Dee Dee. She used this red light belt just over her back, went to a 0 out of 10 pain score, reclaimed her salary, which is $48,000 a year salary as a part-time massage therapist. Right. So that was life-changing. The other thing that people could use this for, we talked about thyroid and brain and eyesight. This is a hack right here. See the irradiance? It's very bright.
Yep.
I could have this over my thyroid and the top part of my heart and all the way up to my brain, and treat give myself a treatment that way. Do this while I'm traveling, which is why we also combine those as like some of the free items you get in some of the bundles. So yeah, we've made it really simple for people. And like, I always try to make people very clear, understand clearly what they're spending on their health, and realize that everything else costs you a lot. This is the cheap therapy. The other things are expensive. Massage is very expensive. Chiropractic is very expensive. Should you do them? Yes. If you have the money, if you have the ability, yes. But don't skip the cheapest one, which is the red light, which I gave you scenarios, right? Like even a $2,000 panel, do the math on that over the family. I've got a family of 4. Like that's what I would spend on a single supplement for my family. One supplement for 4 people in the families is going to be $2,400. At $50 a supplement is going to be over $2,000 for the year for a family of 4. It's cheaper for me to do a red light panel, and then I can add and subtract supplements when I can afford them, if that's how I need to operate. But you've got to have a baseline, something that's going to activate those supplements. Hence, I referenced the study that showed it made the supplement protocol 70 times more effective. So I just want people to have the A-list tools so they don't get inferior results than what they deserve.
Yeah, I think stacking these therapies is brilliant, and it's what I do. And look, chlorine dioxide, very, very inexpensive. KV Labs, that's where you can get the stuff.
Yeah.
I'll leave a link below. Obviously, I'll leave a link below to Jonathan's website, because I believe in the products. I have the products. I use the products. So along with red light therapy every day, I also use chlorine dioxide, and I take vitamin B17, because I think the smartest thing everybody can do is prevent getting cancer in the first place. Now, it's wonderful to hear that these therapies can help maybe alleviate the problem if you do get cancer, but so much better just not to get cancer in the first place, Jonathan. Hey, man, I really appreciate you so very much. Thank you for taking time out of your life and away from your family today to join me and my audience. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. The only protocol we didn't mention was the nicotine. So look into that, guys, as well. Nicotine has also proven to be very effective, because it's one of the missing links there. And it's natural. It's in eggplants and tomatoes and potatoes. And then you've got it. You've got a well-stacked protocol, guys, and get better, get healthy. And, thank God for people like you, Sean, getting the truth out. Thank you that you have allowed us to reach the people that need to be reached and touched with this important work. And at the end of the day, guys, save money on your health by investing in the right areas. Like, you spend, the next decade spending like literally like 10, 20, 30,000 on supplements, drugs, and things that don't work, and treatments that aren't working, and instead like spend a few $100 or 1,200, 2,200, whatever it is, on something that does work, and then save a lot of money and time in the process. So bless you guys, and I look forward to serving you at myredlight.com. Check out the free training there as well. So I go through all of that information on the page at myredlight.com, and there's a really good training video there, breaking it down. And then use the tools available to you. Use the internet to check your condition, and don't just sit there wondering. And then, you got a 60-day money back guarantee. Try it for 60 days, see what you think, and we'll support you and bless you and be there to help you learn how to use it with the live trainings that we do as well, which is, I think we're the only ones that do that. So yeah.
All right. Very good. The website, myredlight.com. The link is below. Guys, thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll say our goodbyes to Jonathan. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Good to connect.
Thank you. Cheers,
All right.
Sean. Thank you.
Cheers. All right. There he goes. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. Look, we're being attacked from multiple vector points every single day. And what we've been trying to do with these last few shows, guys, is help prevent you from getting sick. We don't want you sick, guys. None of us can afford to be sick anymore, by the way. It's getting tough out there. So stay healthy. The links are below. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll remind you every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news 24/7 at sgtreport.com. And until next time, God bless. Bye-bye.
Satan walks this earth, and he wants to do everything in his power to breed evil, and to, really control every element of the body. He wants to pervert, he wants to twist, he wants to contaminate God's creation in every way possible, from our food to our farming to our body to everything we do day to day. And he's doing that, and you're seeing that. This is why it's so important as Christians that we continue to be the light in the darkness, to keep exposing this evil. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's not this is too heavy. This is too, I don't like that energy. I don't like that vibe. Well, in order to have solutions, we have to expose the darkness. We have to talk about these things.